Hi, everyone. My name is Shiva Agarwal. I'm a first degree black belt in the Netherlands of Taekwondo, and I am very privileged today to be interviewing Grandmaster Kees Keukens right now in Canada. Sir, welcome, and thank you very much for your time. Could you please introduce yourself to us, please?
My name is Cees Keukens. I'm a student of Taekwondo for 50 years. And yeah, that's basically all I can say, right? I have a few titles, but that's not why I basically trained for, right?
Please tell us the titles anyway.
Well, the special one was Dutch national champion. And first person for Holland to win an international medal. And the first person to be a world champion in the second world championship. So,
well, let's start from the beginning. So from when you started Taekwondo until your history of what you have done and how Taekwondo developed in the Netherlands and what you're doing today.
Okay. Well, things change all the time. But I started with Grandmaster Padul in Os. And he was my main teacher, but also I learned a lot from Adriaan Koffa and later from Harry Botse and now from the Hurk. They were, and Jan Willem Stoker later on. And they were really a big part of what I became in Taekwondo. So without them, I couldn't have done it, I think. I had the best teachers and role models I could have. So I trained for about 3 years in Holland. I went to Canada with a European team. So that was the first time a European team was assembled. And after I came back, I won the national championships. And then later in the year, I fought for the European team again. And they asked my mentor, Jan Willem Stoker in Holland, to come to Canada and said, well, you can't afford me because I have a family, I have my business, I have this and that. But Kees likes to learn. So then they started talking about me, and then I was asked by Park Young-soo to come to Canada to teach for him, basically. And yeah, from there, it kept on going. The next thing you have world championships, and the level at that time was much higher in Canada, but even was very competitive. It was more martial arts than in Holland at that time. In Holland, it was more a sport, and here it was more martial arts. That's what the big difference was for me, and I'm happy that I learned that. So.
Okay, maybe you could elaborate a little bit more on that. So, I wanted to know, for example, what is the difference between, your experience in the Netherlands? How do you find teaching in the Netherlands versus teaching in Canada, between the different schools that you've been through?
The teaching, I don't think is that much difference, because that's what I brought from Holland to Canada, and we made changes here. But the martial arts factor, like the courtesy, the respect, and all that kind of things, that was more in Canada. I found there was more of respect also between competitors, and this was different, more martial arts oriented, while Holland at that time was more sports oriented. It might be different in other schools, different areas in Holland. I don't know. But that's what I had always impression when after I came here. I couldn't tell before because I didn't know the difference. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So what is the biggest change in Taekwondo that you've seen over the 50 years that you've practiced it? What are the biggest change or the big changes that you've seen?
More organizations. People all working together. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a lot of people. I think everybody tries to do the best, but as Grandmaster Padul says, you don't have to love each other to be able to work together. And I think a lot of people have problems with that. Yeah. So unfortunate. So hopefully in the future, people can get together and work somehow together. England has a great thing. They have the British Council for all the Taekwondo, even adult TF, or in one group, and things get done. Even now with Corona, of course, they had all kinds of things. Yeah, you have to respect each other, work together if you want to be your own group, because it's the same thing as having your own schools.
Yeah.
And you know, each school is a little bit different, but you can still work together, right? And then I think it will benefit everybody, you know.
Yeah. Have you seen examples of this cooperation between schools in Canada, for example? And first of all, how long have you been there in Canada versus in the Netherlands?
Oh my goodness, I've been longer in Canada than in Holland. You know, about 40 years now, I think.
Okay, so in those 40 years, you know, do you find that there is cooperation between the schools that you have purview over? What is the atmosphere like in the past 40 years?
And it used to be better. There was too many groups now. Things start falling apart a little bit after 78, when the organization, ITF organization, start pulling apart, and Park Kyung-soo stepped out of the ITF. And from there on afterwards, now I think there's four or five groups or something like that in Canada. So yeah, that's unfortunate, because again, everybody tries their best, but it doesn't work, you know. So hopefully again they can get together sometimes and think about the bigger picture instead of a little group.
Okay, well, so in the you know, I hear that there is a lot of fragmentation, right? That you have seen in the 50 years perhaps of you doing the art, fragmentation between groups. Why does this happen? Like, why has this happened, do you think?
The control, people trying to keep control of what is going on, right? So difficult. Some other people maybe have ambitions beyond themselves. So
Okay.
trying to control, having ambitions, not agreeing with things. It gets political when we get into that, so I prefer not to.
Okay, I understand that. All right, so what is, so I guess my next question is naturally, what do you hope to see in the future from the art? I mean, you have been in the sport for such a long time. You are, you know, teaching for such a long time. How do you see, what do you hope for the future?
I hope for the future that everybody respects each other and just try to work together. You know, you don't have to do the same thing. Right? That's why I like to go and with the kids, or go compete in the US, because when we go down there, we're not treated by, oh, you have to do it a certain way, you have to do it this way, and you know, otherwise it's no good. They look at it a little bit different. If you do a really good job, whatever your style is, because most time there's different styles involved, then they respect that. And I think in Taekwondo should do the same thing. You know, not try to put people in the corner. If you don't do it our way, it's not the right way. You know, I mean, the original way from Taekwondo has all totally changed anyway. So, yeah, it's yeah, it's I think it's a problem.
Okay.
You know?
Okay, so let me understand this a little bit more. I've noticed that people have different styles, right? So there are some people that emphasize one part of the art, and the other people that emphasize another part. And I find that, you know, people bring their sort of their own interpretation to how they do tool, for example, or how they you know, perform something. So is there a way to reconcile this, or is, you know, variety almost kind of like the spice of life? Because I can imagine that if you are from a certain school and a certain way of thinking, of a certain way of performing a tool, that would not be similar to the people who are judging you, for example. So do you see a reconciliation here? I mean, what is the basics that people should stick to, and then what is the extra that can be overlooked if your style does not match each other's?
I don't think you have to match.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you have to match. So don't forget, original when they had the Taekwondo, they had the different kwans. All the different kwans was different schools. So we have 10 different schools. We might not do it all the same, right? When they later started WTF, they had the Palgays, Punseys, Taguks, right? And they pulled it back from the different schools and they put the parents together. You know, no issues right now. But with Taekwondo, with ITF, you know, or just in general, like I said, in the US competition, unless it is very specific ITF or whatever karate school, it might be a little bit different. But in general, there is no problem because you judge a person by how he performs, you know, how the balance is, how the technique is. And it's very simple. You know, one is better than the other. It's not because I do the knife and block a little bit different than you do. You know, and then with judging also, like in Taekwondo International, the Open World Championships, they have different people and they have 5 or 6 or 7 judges, and then you deduct the highest and the lowest, and then you have your score. Yeah. So if you like me and you give me a higher score, you're gone. If you don't like me and you give me a low score, you're gone too. So, yeah. At least it balances out a little bit. But I think you just have to respect what people do. Like there's more people, like I do still the original style of ITF. And I was with Park Young-soo in Canada for 14 years. And I still basically do that. I never seen anybody better than him. So I think it was a mistake when, when they started to disagreeing. And I think everything went down from there.
I feel like there is so much history and perhaps probably also so much politics in the whole history of Taekwondo that sometimes it seems to obscure the purity of the art itself. Is that a fair statement, do you think?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, it's one thing to preach things, but it's another thing to do things, right? So, you know, you preach things, then follow that, you know, but then don't change it when it's not convenient for you, right? Or you don't disagree, and then, you know, keep on working, talking to people, show respect for people. Right, it's a two-way street always. So, yeah.
So, if you had the power to change something, what would you do to bring people together? I mean, I know that there were a lot of there's a lot of you know, problems, I would say, or politics, you know, whatever the case might be. What would you suggest, perhaps, maybe that people should do to work together rather than against each other?
That wouldn't happen overnight, but you know, just go participate. You know, like invite people over to your group. You know, so if let's say organization A is organizing something, invite B, C, and D as well. Tell them they're welcome, right? You go to their competition. I think if you start doing things like you have seminars, invite them, tell them they're welcome. Right? Start work just cooperating together. It has to start with baby step and just showing respect to people and not having any anything behind it. Just be open and go, you know.
Well, okay, fair enough. Okay, let's turn it around a little bit and talk about you. And one of the questions that I had for you as a practitioner of Taekwondo is, what is your idea of Do and how do you practice it in your daily life?
Do is this, people always come up to me and say, Taekwondo. I said, Do. Do, Taekwondo, because it's a package deal anyway, right? So Taekwondo is only the physical part. But Do is the mental part, you know, just show respect to people, have integrity, and try to do that. And I know some martial arts people who do that, and that's why I respect them, you know. So one of them is Peter Sanders, of course. So, you know, I like him. I had situations that I seen, okay, you know, he's okay, right? Because even he's related to my teacher. I didn't know him that well, so you get to know people and say, okay, he's okay. You can count to them, and he's straightforward, and he has some integrity, you know, and compassion for people as well. So that's why he always tries to help other people, right? I try to do it. So
Yeah.
That's my goal in the next few years. Go places, just help people and enjoy Taekwondo.
Well, I think that's a very, very nice goal to have. And I hope that, it won't, you're right, in terms of the politics and all of the, the disagreements that have happened over the years. I'm hoping that in the future, at least in my daughter's generation, who is, she's 12, also first degree black belt, that perhaps, things might change for the better and we can come together rather than be fragmented, as I mentioned.
Yeah, I think, like I said before, just be open and, you can be friends. They do a different, they are friends of a different school, of a different organization. Organizations is really not that important. It's more important that your school gets along with other people, then you're in your organization, and then you have international. So, yeah, I don't worry too much about anything. If somebody is really good, and there were good people in Holland. Holland always has had good people. I have a good friend of mine, Henk Meyer. He's excellent. He was an ITF world champion. He went to do something different at WTF, and he became world champion there. So, but he's a good guy, and I will work with him. Actually, we had him here in Canada a few times, and did seminars. And I set seminars up with even basic karate schools. So, and they love him. Yeah. But it's also his personality.
Yeah. Right? So what kind of advice would you give a child or a kid like my daughter, who is 12 again? What kind of advice would you give her in terms of, continuing the art of Taekwondo in the future?
Yeah, it's difficult to say. I always say, just enjoy it. If you enjoy it, keep on doing it, keep on learning, right? When you get a black belt, of course, then later on you get a little bit more responsibility, but it's good for the kids. They help other kids. They teach them, so they become leaders. And I think the first 3 up to black belt, you have that rush, you're going, and you feel really good. And then after that, it changes a little bit. People that are older, they can get involved with the organization, but just enjoy it. If you like it, do it. Keep on doing it. It's the best thing you can do. It's not much you can say. I am just more into coaching now and helping people than I'm doing big seminars and stuff like that. And then like people that really want some help when it's competitors, because there's a lot of work. It only works when they really, really want to. One of the early periods of time was not that early, 76. Unfortunately, the Dutch team gave me the runarounds, but then the Greek team asked me to help them with patterns. So it's okay, I will do that. But rule number 1 is you have to listen to what I say, and I will do my best, and you listen. We will be successful.
Yeah.
But after 3 days, they won the European Championship, so they beat Holland.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about the coaching work that you're doing right now?
Coaching, I only have a few people right now I'm looking after. And one of us, Steve Aramco, we go to any competitions. We use other competitions, open style karate competitions, example, to get ready to prepare for a Taekwondo event. Because it's a little bit different, but it all comes together, right?
Yeah.
And there's not that many people around. Anyway, everything is shut down. We are shut down here again, so nothing is happening. And we have to wait till it opens up. So, and then see where it's going to go.
Sure. Okay, well, last question. I know that you have met some very famous people. So GM Peter Saunders, of course, told me about your meeting with Chuck Norris. And I see that there is a picture behind you where you have a picture with Jackie Chan.
Yeah,
so
yes.
Tell us more about that.
One of the people that I knew, or they knew me, they were involved when Jackie Chan, because he came here. Anyway, he came here to scout around for locations and stuff like that for a movie. But they had a charity going on for the Yihong Pediatric Center for Chinese people. And so they asked me, the person that was in charge, or was MC, asked me to do something. So we worked something out and for that show. and it went really well. And I was fortunate enough to have dinner with him. You know, with a few other people, director of the Mount Sinai Hospital, Dr. Joseph Wong from the Pediatric Center, and Jackie Chan was his manager, and myself and my friend, the MC. So we got talking, but you know, like I'm always laughing when I see him in a movie, because I had dinner with him. The way he's in the movie, that's how he is. Of course, but that's how he is, you know. And he has a amazing pay, because people, of course, come up and say, "Oh, you know, I want to get it. How do I do it?" You know, and he is so patient with people. It's amazing. So when we took this picture, that was really funny, because I'm a head taller than him. We were a little bit close to the wall, and the photographer had this, you know, something planted there. The camera was planted. He says, "Oh, you're too tall." I said, no, I can fix that. So I squat down a little bit, and we both laughing, right? So
that was wonderful.
Yeah, and the picture I got it signed when I was to Holland, because my friends were in the movie. It was funny because there's one guy from Hong Kong, an English guy, who was in the movie, had a big scar on his face, and then Lane Duchesne from Holland, and also was Mike Lambert.
Yeah.
And they said, "Well," I said, "Kees, we're doing the film. Why don't you come over here?" I said, "It's okay, man." Right away, I think, okay, I have to get that picture signed. So I went out there and really enjoyed sitting down there. And Lane, of course, he's in the movies. "Hey, this is the guy who used to beat me up," and stuff like that. Have a bunch of people sitting around us and telling war stories. Then Mike Lambert is lying on the floor sleeping, and he gets up and he walks around, and he's a tall guy like myself, scar on his face, platinum blonde hair. It was the movie Who Am I? And so he says, "Kees, Keukens, isn't it?" I say, "Yeah." I said, "Mike, be careful, because I saw your mother last month, so I talked to her." But he's laughing. So, you know, it's people from, I come from Canada, he's from Hong Kong, Lane is from Holland, of course, and then Jackie Chan is also from there. So then we watching, they doing something, Jackie is talking to one of the actors, and then, of course, one of the guys, "Hey, Jackie, Cees is here." I said, and I'm going like, "Oh no," because he's very intense when he's working. But so like, he came up, and still polite, but I said, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt." You know, I said, "No, it's nice to see you." I said, "You know, but I need one favor for you." He said, "Well, I have the pictures from Canada. I would like you to sign it for myself and a few of my friends." He said, "Yeah, no problem. Come to the hotel." And yeah, it's great. You know, I hope martial arts people are a little more like that. You know, talking to us, keep an open mind, and do things. Love the taekwondo guy, Lane Duchesne too. He got from taekwondo into stunt work. You know, Michael, same thing here. Max White here in Toronto. So good guys, and they do something with the art that they have learned. But still, they are martial arts people. That's what I like from them. Yeah, a lot of courage, a lot of respect.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think it comes down to that, right? Respect and courage.
It's the bottom line, I think. You know.
Yeah. Well, that's all the questions that I have. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
All right, Sheba,
all right.
thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate your time. All the best to you too. Thank you. Bye.